Y'all, it's your boy Easy, and on today's episode of Easy Opens, we're going to be taking a look at Jada Toys Street Fighter II Vega figure. Vega first appeared in Street Fighter II The World Warrior on March 7th of 1991. In Japan, he is known as Balrog, due to the names of Vega, Balrog, and M. Bison having to be switched for fear of a lawsuit back in the 90s due to Mike Bison sounding like Mike Tyson. He's a Spanish ninja assassin. He has a three-bladed glove claw weapon, sometimes referred to as a tekokage. He's a vain, sadistic narcissist with an obsession with beauty, who wears a mask to protect his beautiful face, and who is a member of Shadowloo. So the box art is great as per usual. It's the arcade style box, which is awesome, and Jada does a great job there. But we're not here to talk about the box. Let's go ahead and get this figure free from its plastic prison and see what we think about Vega. Fresh out the box, he looks great. I think they nailed the sculpt, and the paint looks fantastic. It pops. The detail is there, especially like just in the armband, and then the tattoo is really cool. And all of that. I was not expecting to get a wired sash. That's really cool. Love that. And I feel like that really puts the figure on like a whole other level just instantly. It gives him like this extra dynamic that's really neat. So I really dig that. The claw looks awesome and is pretty sturdy. I mean, it's plastic and stuff, so I mean, you know, it's not like it's metal, but it's pretty decent. I like it. And my claws are pretty straight. I don't have any complaints about that, which is usually a problem when you have characters like this and Wolverine who have these claws. They can tend to deviate from their straightness, which is a weird thing to say. But yeah, he's got like a nice weight to him, and he just looks great. The colors pop, and there's detail there in the shoes and everything. Yeah, no, I'm very happy with this figure fresh out the box. I will say though that I feel a little conflicted. Not sure how I feel about this, because I usually think of Vega as being a little bit slimmer, and I think that they got that down like throughout most of the body, except in the chest area. I think he's a little too broad, but not enough to make the figure look weird or wrong or anything. It's just something I don't know. I guess it depends on the version of Vega you're more familiar with, but otherwise the sculpt is fantastic. And then that's accentuated by the vibrant paint. It's probably one of the most colorful figures from this line, and it just pops. I love how they all work together, and I know it's more about the actual design of the character, but I think Jada just really got it right here. And then the snake tattoo is cool and looks good, but I think I might actually like the SH Figure Arts one better if memory serves. But that one was probably double the price when it came out, so, you know, you get what you pay for, I guess. Still, this one's not that bad, and I think it looks really cool. This figure comes with his signature mask, his signature claw, 4 sets of hands, 2 heads, one masked and one unmasked, and a claw slashing effect. So according to streetfighter.fandom.com, this character stands at 6 foot 1 inches tall and weighs around 185 pounds. This figure stands at around 6.5 inches tall and weighs 4 ounces. Now let's take a look and see how he measures up to some other figures you might have in your collection. Here he is with Hasbro's Marvel Legends Spider-Man and Jada Toys Mega Man. Here he is with Hasbro's Fortnite Mancake and SH Figure Arts Senkocho Seiho Kamen Rider Kiva. Here he is with SH Figure Arts Luigi and Storm Collectibles Reptile. Here he is with Mattel's Masterverse Roboto and the NECA knockoff colored bandana Raphael. Here he is with McFarlane's DC Multiverse Clock King and Figma's Link. Here he is with Super 7's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Casey Jones and NECA's Alf. Here he is with Sagat and Balrog from Soda Toys. Here he is with Chun-Li and Ryu from SH Figure Arts. Here he is with the DC Collectibles Killer Croc and Marvel Select Hulk. And here he is with the SH Figuarts, Vega. Vega was one of the first Street Fighter characters that I gravitated to when playing the game back in the day. I loved his sleekness, his elegance, and his finesse, and he seemed to just walk this line between being delicate and dangerous, if that makes any sense. And Jada did a pretty great job bringing this figure to life in plastic form and incorporating all of that into this figure. First of all, I think they nailed the look, both masked and unmasked. But for me, the mask is what makes this character, and it looks so good. As I mentioned before, my only slight complaint is about how broad his chest is. But to be honest, that's a very minor point that you quickly forget about once you start posing and playing with this figure. But especially when all the other aspects of this figure are excellent. This figure has the right amount of heft, and the detail and the sculpt and paint is excellent. I love what they did with all of his accessories, including the different heads with the different hairstyles, the masked and unmasked. That is awesome. So you can like mix and match and do different things. And yeah, no, that was just really cool. And I'm very glad that they gave us that option. The masks themselves look fantastic and clean and simple, but yet still conjuring like this kind of menacing look to them. I don't know, like that it's, well, maybe menacing is too much, more like mischievous or like uncertain, or something else is being conveyed through that mask, just in the subtleties of how they did it. And that's a testament to the design from the game, but also the fact that they could translate that into the sculpt and the paint and just the overall figure is awesome, and a testament to Jada's like expertise in this line and just in action figure making. I totally love that they included the extra loose claw, because if you don't remember, it could get knocked off. And I think, but I might be wrong, you could pick it up and use it against him. But that might just be my fuzzy memory on that. It's been a minute since I've played it, and I can't remember, but I think you could. Not to mention that it looks great and is sturdy too, because with a lot of characters with these kind of claws like Wolverine, Hasbro's finally gotten it pretty right where they can keep them straight, but for the longest time it was always bendy and just horrible. I was kind of worried about how that was going to be handled here, and I think they went above and beyond and made it just excellent, just killed it with the way the claw is, and totally love that. And then also, I love that they include the extra mask, because, again, you could also knock that off of Vega in the video games. Now, I don't think you could use that against him. I don't think you could put that on and pretend to be him, although that would have been hilarious. But still, super glad they included that. And then the claw slash is a lot of fun, too. I always appreciate like a slash effect. That's really neat, because you can sometimes use it for other things, and that's awesome. And then the open hands are something that I was curious if they were going to stylize them in a way that you could have him hanging from different things. And thankfully they did, because that was a thing he would do. He would hang on the back of the cage that was separating the fighters from the bar in the game. And so, yeah, those hands can definitely do that, and that's awesome. And like most Jada action figures, Vega is a blast to play around with and pose and set up with other action figures and whatnot. And he's a lot of fun to photograph. He's just very photogenic, and I know that's weird to say about a toy, but just this figure just hits on so many levels. It's ridiculous. I think Vega works pretty well with Marvel Legends and some other Ninja Turtles figures, and he could probably work with some G.I. Joe figures, especially considering that a lot of the bad guys from Street Fighter were Cobra members back in the 90s. But I do think compared to G.I. Joe Classified, they might have some trouble with some of the figures because they lack a lot of pouches. So, you know, your mileage may vary there, but it could work. And then I had a lot of fun mixing him with some other lines, and I think he works well going up against a bunch of different action figures, but your mileage is going to vary, of course, because he's got a specific look to him However, I think that much like how Sagat is dude with shorts and bare chest, Vega has that. It's just he's wearing pants and has a sash. It'll probably be hit or miss, but I do think you can get him to work with a bunch of different lines besides Marvel Legends and NECA Ninja Turtles. So as per his design, Vega goes extremely well with the other Street Fighter figures from Jada. He also works very well, like most of those Jada Street Fighter figures, with the Soda Street Fighter figures from back in the day and the SH Figuarts Street Fighter figures from a few years ago. So overall, I absolutely love this figure. He looks amazing, is a ton of fun to pose either alone or when you're having him mix it up with whoever else you got around. I just had so much fun with this figure, and his articulation is great. His paint pops and his sculpt has so much detail, and it's subtle, but it's also just enough. I don't know. I just can't say enough good things about this figure. And yeah, I think Jada killed it again with this line. And so, yeah. So if you're picking up Street Fighter figures and you don't have a Vega figure, this is probably one of the best, if not the very best Vega figure that I think they've put out. If you have a shelf dedicated to characters with removable masks, Vega has it covered and uncovered. If you have a shelf dedicated to characters with snake tattoos, Vega has that as well. Or if you collect figures with Wolverine claws, Vega technically has 2 of them, so I think either way, you'll totally dig this Vega figure from Jada. All right, well, that's going to do it for me today. Thanks so much for watching. If you liked what you saw, hit the like button. And if you want to see more from me, hit subscribe and let me know in the comments. Do you call this character Vega or do you call him Balrog? And do you prefer the masked look or the unmasked look? Let me know in the comments. And until then, else time.